The second step to guaranteeing financial freedom is understanding where it is you want to get to, your ambition in life and within your finances. And that is what we'll be going through today. Hi, my name is James Corsia and thank you for joining us today. And welcome to the Money Paradox podcast. So as I said, today we're going to go through ambition. The first thing I want to talk through is what it is you're looking for from your finances. So think about it. Maybe make a little note of it or think about it in your head. What is it that you're working towards? Is it just more money? Is it clearing that debt? Is it becoming a millionaire? What is it specifically for you? Because the more clear you are around that, the easier it is to be able to achieve it. Too many people just hope to be in a situation that they want to get to. But without knowing what it is, it's kind of like wandering around hoping that you're going to stumble across what it is that you want. So first things first, get clear on what it is. The reason why I advocate financial freedom so much is that for a lot of people, I'd say most people, that is a pretty simple way of getting to the answer around this. Essentially, it's getting your finances in such a situation that whatever it is that you want from life, whatever you want to do, be, become, achieve in your life, money is not a restriction. It's not a constraint in what you want. So if that sounds like you, then have that as your goal. But then you've got to think, well, what does that mean to you, financial freedom? Financial freedom means different things to different people. So get a clear definition of that. Okay? So is it a specific amount of money in a specific way by a specific date? Get clear on what that is. And then you've got that clear end in mind. Well, the next thing to think about then is what is it that you want in life more generally? Now, a lot of people don't like to think about this because it's difficult to answer. You know, it's a big question. It feels just so hard to answer. And a lot of people don't even think about it in the first place. So first things first, if you haven't already, start to think about what it is that you want from life. Second thing is you want to start to get clear on that. And if you're not sure and there's different options, that's okay. The way I like to think about it is imagine there's a gun against your head and imagine, I hope there isn't, imagine there's a gun against your head and somebody says, what do you want from your life right now? If you don't pick, gun is gone off. Whatever you pick, that is what you're committed to. And the reason why I give you that analogy is it allows you to go into your kind of gut response and say, what is it that you actually want? What is it that feels right now? And you'd be surprised at how accurate that can be. So once you are clear on what that is, and there are many ways to do it, and that is for a much longer podcast, but once you are clear on that, then the important thing is to understand how does that connect to what it is from your finances. Because if these don't line up, then they're pulling you in two different directions. So if you think that, I want to be a millionaire, okay? And that's what I'm working towards. And then you start to think about your life goals, and your life goals are all about spending more time with your family, your friends, not working so hard. And all of the rules that you've created around pursuing your financial goals are different and conflict with those rules around your ambition in life more generally. Then you're going to be pulled in those two different directions, and ultimately one's not going to be achieved. In fact, what's most likely is neither are achieved because you keep fraying between the two. So firstly, get clear on what you want from your finances. Financial freedom is a great aspiration, but if it isn't, be clear, whatever it is. Then think, what is it that you want from life more generally? Start to ask that question if you're not sure, but be specific. And then think, do these two line up? Because if they don't, it's going to be a lot more difficult to make those happen. You're going to get a lot of resistance about that. Now, if you are struggling to work out what it is that you want from life, I have got a very powerful exercise that can help you through that process. So let me run that through with you now. And if you've got time to do it now, brilliant. If not, just listen along, understand what the overall approach is. And when you've got some time, you can press pause and do each of the sections in your own time. Make sense? Okay, good. So the first stage is understanding what is your ultimate life actually look like. Because a lot of people set these goals, but they're very here and now. What do I want to do today? What do I want to achieve by the end of this month? What do I want by the end of this year? They work from the here all the way to further down the line. And the trouble with that is you can think of what's powerful to do right now, and it might feel productive, it might feel like you're progressing and you're moving in a direction, but 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you realize, maybe you look back and you see that journey you've gone on. You realize, actually, that wasn't the most effective path in which to get what you actually want. Or even worse, that path was moving you away from what you actually wanted. There was a chap that I met maybe a couple of years ago, came to really respect him. He's become a very good friend. And it was something that really stuck with me. He was saying, James, you know what? I've spent a long time on this planet, and through that I've worked hard, I've achieved a lot. But the thing I realized about 2 years ago was that I'd spent all this effort climbing this mountain, working so hard, only to realize when I got to the top of it, it was the wrong mountain. And once he'd realized that, he then had to just start climbing the mountain that he really wanted from life. Now, this guy was very much in his essence. He really now knew what it is that he wanted from his life and was enjoying it, but he regretted all of that time he'd spent climbing that mountain that wasn't what he actually wanted. So I encourage you to think right now, are you climbing a mountain that you don't really want, that's moving you away from what it is that you actually truly want? And if you're not sure, I encourage you to spend some quality thinking time in this area to really understand what it is for you. And don't worry if it doesn't just come like that. You know, it didn't for me. It took some time. But I promise you, if you do spend some quality time in this area, it will come. And there's different things you can do. You can speak to people. You can just sit and think about it. You can do this exercise that I'm going to run through now. Whatever it is, do spend the time to get there, because when you do know what it is, you're going to come from a much stronger place and you're going to show up with a lot more power within this world if you do. Okay? So first thing is to understand what is your ultimate life. And the way to do it is really powerful technique, is to think about your ultimate day. And I want you to get really, really specific. Now, let's go through it. Let's briefly go through it, at least the beginning. First thing to do is think, what time would you want to wake up in the morning? Is it 6 a.m.? Is it 11 a.m.? Is it 2 p.m.? What time would you ideally want to wake up in the morning? And while you're thinking about this, don't overthink it, okay? Just come out with whatever comes to mind first. And if you're struggling, remember that gun against your head, just pick, okay? Don't overthink it. Just pick an answer and allow yourself to commit to something. And don't worry, if at a later date things change, your life changes, which is inevitable, you can change this, you can adapt this, it's okay. But in this very moment, we want it to be committed. Okay, so what time would you wake up in the morning? Who would you wake up next to? What would your bed look like? What would your bedroom look like? Would you have a balcony? What's the view like from the window? When you wake up, what's that first thing you do? Do you wake up a partner? Do you go out, do a jog, a yoga? Do you have a shower straight away? Do you look out through the window? What is it that first thing you do? I want you to get really specific. How long do you spend doing that? So maybe it's going outside and meditating for 15 minutes. Okay, so 15 minutes later, then what do you do? Do you take a shower? How long do you take a shower for? What's the shower like? Is it a hot shower? Is it a cold shower? Then what do you do? Do you go have breakfast? What do you eat for breakfast? How long do you spend having breakfast? Who are you spending time with when you're having that breakfast? Are you having breakfast at home? Which room are you having it? And where would you go after you have that breakfast? Plan that day in great detail. Almost sculpt that perfect day for you. Would you then go on and spend time working on your own business, on a charity, your own mission that's important to you? Would you go out and play, spend time with your friends, with your partner? What would you do that day? Split it out in detail around the timings, around who you're with, what you're doing, all the way up until when you go to sleep. And then think about what time you go to sleep. Plan that day in that detail. Now, once you've run through that, take a step back. And the best way to do this is on a big whiteboard like I've got behind me, or even if you don't have that, a nice big piece of paper. When you've written it all out, then think, is that my ultimate life? Is there anything I'd want to change? Want to add, remove, tweak? And then on top of that, think of all the additional things that you'd want to do in your ultimate life that don't fit within that perfect day. Maybe holidays you want to go on, trips with your family, friends, your partner. What about any adventures? What about some kind of charity work you might want to do? What about some kind of training you want to do? Write all of that out. And then again, look back and think, is everything I want to do in my ultimate life? Now, once you've done that, I want you to then go through each of these areas and then think, can I do it right now? But before you do that, take a step back, look at that ultimate life and just take that in. Just take it in and think, that is what you ultimately want from your life. Ideally, there were no restrictions. Okay, it's powerful even just to know that, to know it and see it all written down in one place. For a lot of people, they just simply don't know what that is, so they tend to wander and hope they get what they want. Now you have a clear blueprint of what it is. And now you know that, go through each of those items and think, can I do that right now? If you can, tick it off. If it's I can, but kind of, not fully, make another little mark to highlight that you can, or put a tick next to the bit that you know you can. And the bit you can't, I want you to write that down separately under another title called outcomes. These are going to be the list of outcomes you need to achieve to unlock your ultimate life. So for example, if it's waking up in Spain in my own house and you live in the UK, well then you need to be able to have the money to buy that house. You need to know what that house looks like. You need to have a clear vision of it. You need to be able to have the time available to be able to move to Spain or travel to Spain or whatever it is. Be very clear and specific on what those outcomes you need to achieve are. I want you to go through every single item within the perfect day and those additional items. And once you've done that, you'll have a clear list of outcomes. And once you've got that, you can then see, right, firstly, what are all the things that I can do already to as part of my ultimate life? Am I doing them already? Acknowledge that part of what my ultimate life is, I either am already doing, or two, I can start to do right now and make my life more like what it is that I ultimately want for my life. those remaining areas, you can look at it holistically. That is what I need to achieve to get my ultimate life, those outcomes. All in one place, very clear. And that is your focus. That is your primary objective in life now, to unlock all those outcomes. Okay, now, you may not be able to do all of those in the next 3 months, but at least you know it's all there in one place. Now, usually what happens is there'll be a number of areas that are routine, just maintenance, like maintaining relationships with friends or a partner. Maybe it's maintaining your health. Right? Maybe it's maintaining your training on certain areas that are important to you. What you do is pull those out and list those under what I call hygiene factor. They are things that you need to do on a constant basis to maintain what you've already got and further develop it. Okay, so pull all those out and put them into an area called hygiene factor. The second area is called what I call visualization or late visualization. And these are things that you need to get clear on, you're not fully sure about. And until you're clear about them, you can't know what you want. Or by knowing it in detail as to what it is that you want, you're going to be much more driven towards getting it. So for example, I use that house of buying a house in Spain. Well, if you're not sure whether you want to buy a house, or whether you want to buy or rent, or what that house looks like, then it's a lot harder for you to be compelled to do what you need to do to be able to get that house in Spain, to be able to live that part of your ultimate life. So once you know whether you want to buy it, how much it costs and what it looks like and where in Spain it would be, once you know all of that, then you can start to get really clear on what it is you need to achieve to be able to get it, how much money you need, okay, and where it would be that you want to go, okay? So that would be called late visualization. So it's all the things you need to visualize, get clear on visually as part of this ultimate life, okay? Pull all of those things out and put it in a separate category. Now what's left will be all of the things that you are going to start to work towards in a concerted way. Now, for most people, these split into 3 categories. Kind of categories that usually come up are financial, 2, relationships, 3, career, 4, mission or charity work. Those kind of areas, big, broad categories. Have a think, look at them and think, what are the trending themes here? It doesn't have to be 3, it could be 2, could be 4, could be 1, but generally it's 3. Okay, 3 is a good number, a powerful number to use on this. Once you categorize them up and you split them into the 3 areas, now you've got 3 areas, if it is 3, to work towards. Now, when you look at all of the outcomes within each of these categories, I want you to come up first with your 1-year goals for each of these areas. Usually there'll be like one key primary 1-year goal. And then there'll be some smaller kind of sub goals that might enable you to achieve that, or might be also kind of just secondary areas you want to focus on in that. Okay, set those 1-year goals. So what you're doing here is you're looking at all those outcomes that you ultimately got to get. And then you say, what do I want to have achieved in the next year towards that? What feels not aspirational? What feels like a good quality outcome within a year towards getting that, but still feels reasonable and sustainable, i.e. feels very much achievable in terms of the time you have and the amount of energy and time and focus you have on being able to get there. Okay, so set your 1-year goals in each of these areas, and once you've done that, you then can split it up even further and set your 3-month goals. So for you to get that 1-year goal or goals, what are you prepared to do in the next 3 months in order to get it? Okay, what you're doing is you're taking something that is huge, your ultimate life, and you're breaking it down into smaller and smaller chunks until it feels manageable. So now you have some 3-month goals for each of these 3 key areas. You've got your hygiene factor that you need to put into your daily routine, your regular routines. I want you to track those. That's the best way of being able to make sure you still do those. And then your late visualization stuff, then I want you to set deadlines for each of those items as to when you're going to do them by. Ideally, most of them you want to do in the next 3 months, but some might take a little bit longer. Okay? Now, once you've done all that, you can then look at those 3-month goals and say, right, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do this week to start to work towards them? And I really want you, I highly encourage you to don't leave today, don't leave this moment without doing at least one thing towards each of these areas, because that will give you that juice. It will feel like you're already starting to move towards these areas. And if you do all of that, then if you think about it, if you take a step back, what have we got here? We've got our ultimate life in terms of what it is that you want. You've got all the outcomes you need to get to be able to achieve that ultimate life. And then you've got some really clear goals and structure around making sure you can move towards that in a powerful way. Okay? Now that, I hope, has been helpful. It's a very powerful exercise. I've done it with a lot of my coaching clients. I've done it on myself. It is extremely powerful and it produces very good quality results if you do it properly. So if you're sitting there thinking, what is it that I want from life? I'm not sure. Please do that exercise. And if you found it powerful, let me know in the comments below. If you want to share your ambition, your goals, your ultimate life with me, feel free to direct PM me. Or if you want to share it with the wider group, please feel free to put those in the comments below. I would love to know what it is that you are working towards this year and help to share that journey with you. So if you enjoyed this video, please like this video. If you feel anybody you know would really appreciate this video, that you think would really benefit from watching this video and applying what it is that we talked through, please do share that as well. But until next time, that's it from me. Take care.